Hello, Internet, and welcome to today's episode of whatever this is. And today, what this is it's basically just me talking. But I assumed you probably knew that whenever you clicked on the video. But a few days ago actually marked 2 years for me of being completely alcohol free. And I just kind of want to talk about what that has looked like and sort of what led me up to that point. Not for bragging or patting myself on the back, although I am extremely proud of myself for doing this. And that is part of it, but this is not a self-glorification kind of thing, but just more of just putting it out onto the internet in hopes that it finds the right person, whoever needs to hear this or whatever. So we'll just get into it. So my name is Chris. I'm 29 years old. I'll be turning 30 in just a couple of months. And I've been without alcohol now for 2 years and a couple of weeks. I actually did a video on the day of, which I think was September 2nd. I could even be wrong about that. But I do have it written down somewhere. And a friend has that thing that it's written down on, but I think it's September 2nd or September 3rd. But, yeah, so I did a video that day and it was like 35 minutes long. I was like, man, I can't put this up there. Like, nobody's going to watch this. So, and I just kind of lost interest. So here we are 2 weeks later. It's put back on my heart. So I'm doing it. I'm going to try to keep this one short. And if it's long, it's just long. So sorry, I guess you don't have to watch it if you don't want to. But 2 years ago, life forced me to stop drinking. And what I mean by that is the life that I was about to throw in the toilet. So, and this is interesting because this is actually an earlier conversation that I had with someone today that kind of reminded me a little bit, because whenever I was telling them about the whole situation, it was the same canned answer that I've given so many people, and that's that, man, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I just woke up one day and I was done. But that's not entirely true. Although, yes, like the actual physical breaking of the habit happened that way, there was a long process that got me to that point in the first place. And I knew I had a drinking problem for years. And at one time it was really, really bad. And then I just became a better functioning alcoholic. And then at one point that started to get out of control and I was at risk of losing everything, essentially. So it was life just made it happen, and it was kind of a no-brainer at that point. But that's not to say that it wasn't very tough. And especially if you are the deciding factor of stopping drinking. I've tried to quit so many times and I would last about 3 days. And by that third day, it was like, dude, I can't do this anymore. Or it's like, man, I can just have a beer. I can just have a couple of beers and be done. I mean, I've gone 3 days without it. So, a situation happened, whatever. Typically, I found out a lot of it was just the uprise of the reason why I was drinking in the first place. So that doesn't go away, and it only comes back. So that is, so that was that. And the process was tough. I learned a lot about myself, good and bad. There's a lot of things that I rediscovered about myself that wasn't present and whenever alcohol was present, and that was pretty cool. And then learned a lot of bad things about myself, being a lot of it being the reason why I drank in the first place. And that is the really, really broad umbrella. And I can't talk about what it's like for other people that drink for different reasons. Like, I don't know what it's like to be overseas in another country fighting a war and then coming home and trying to live a normal civilian life. I have no idea what that's like. So, and many things, the loss of a loved one that should not have gone, things like that. So I can really only talk about why I did. And it started off as just boredom. I'll be honest. Like, I lived in East Texas, and I lived in a pretty small town where after 7 o'clock, the only things that were open were the gas station and the bar. So I spent a lot of time at both just for something to do. And that is what kind of developed the drinking habit in the first place. And then it was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed a lot of the things that it helped me get out of my comfort zone and do. Like, I've never danced on a dance floor without alcohol. For sure, there's no way. But, with it, I did. And then I found out that was a lot of fun. So it wasn't long after that, though. Eventually, the fun wears off, and it becomes a habit. So it's not a new thing anymore. It's now trying to recreate the first thing. And, people talk about that with all kinds of different drugs, I guess. You're always trying to chase that first high. But it is, in a way, kind of true, or at least that first season. Maybe not the first high, because it could have been terrible. But odds are you tried it again, and it was good. And that's why, so anyway. So that first season is kind of what was trying to be recreated. So through trying to recreate that, I'm now creating new problems. And that's because of neglect in other areas of my life that needed attention. It was no self-worth. Like, it's amazing how when you physically feel bad because of decisions you made the night before, how it's easy to feel bad about yourself, just in general. And then once that happens, then, things maybe start to slip a little bit. You care less about how you're presented to the world, and it just got to where that I just looked like a bum. And I still kind of do, but, it's cool. I'm a clean bum. But that was when it became the habit part. And then shortly after that is when it became the full-blown addiction. And like, it got to where that's what I needed to fall asleep. And I would just drink myself to sleep, whatever amount that took. Sometimes it was a couple of beers and I'm out. And sometimes it's 2-3 o'clock in the morning and I am just toasted. And that's not good. Like, whenever you got to go to work the next day, because it was random too. Like, some days, like I said, but anyway, so that's what it became to. It became something that I did to fall asleep, essentially. And through the process of being intoxicated, like I said, I created new problems. So I'm creating problems with relationships, with friends, with vehicles, stuff that I've bounced off of stuff. Just the problems that being hungover for work every single day created. The problems for spending all my money at a bar. It's a night to turn up is $100. And when you don't make enough to support that, then you put yourself in financial burdens. So that's So that's where I was at as well. So I had now all these new problems that didn't look like they were created by alcohol, but were definitely created by alcohol. It's like, well, crap. I lost my job. Well, yeah, it's because you got fired for being hungover and late too many times in a row. And then, oh, my new job sucks. Well, yeah, it's because they let you be hungover. Their standards obviously are not very high. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to give this up now, or I'm going to get it under control, is what I kept saying. I'm going to get this under control, and I'm going to try to get a better job. And I did for a few months, and then I figured out that I really wanted to leave East Texas. I thought that was going to be the solution. Like, I just need to get out of this area. And the person that I was with at the time felt kind of the same way. And so it was the perfect opportunity for us to leave the small towns and get into the city in hopes of, hey, there's going to be so many new things to do that it's going to fix itself, I guess. And I found a job that I really, really wanted. And without having much of a plan, I went ahead and applied for it and went after it like I was right down the street and I'm 130 miles away. But it's like, man, we'll figure it out. And we did. Still have the same job. Pretty cool. So that's been 3.5 years now. You know, between 3.5 and 4 years ago was whenever this was done. So, and I'm still there, and I'm very, very thankful for it. And this was the job that I almost lost that is what really sealed the deal, I guess. So I said, you know what? I'm going to get my drinking under control, and I'm just going to, it's just time to be adult. It's just time to do grown-up stuff. And so I moved to the city, and there are a lot more things to do out here, including a lot more bars to go to. And like, man, we were experimenting a lot with different bars. So which one's the most fun? And every single time we did that, I would just go to the moon. And especially now, you couple that with a good job, a little bit better money. Like, now, okay, now I can afford to support this habit now all of a sudden. And I wasn't able to do that before. So that's dangerous, man. When you can afford to support the habit and still be an adult, that's tough. Because then it's like, you don't have to quit technically, unless you're about to lose your livelihood, then you do. But so that's where I was at. I was able to afford the habit and did that for 1.5 years, roughly. Yeah. 1.5 years working there, and even had some success. Like did well at my job, worked with incredible people, built incredible relationships that most of them are still intact, actually. I got a friend into mountain biking. I got 3 friends. I got like 5 people into mountain biking now that I think about it. And there for a while, man, we were all just mountain biking, and a handful of us, this guy included, was definitely like at the end of a mountain bike ride, just turning it on up. And it was a lot of fun. It was a cool experience, but I wasn't able to turn it off. So come the work week, when everybody else was done partying and say, okay, now it's time to go back into work mode. I don't drink like that every single night. I didn't get that memo. And I just kept it going. And that led to a point where basically they had to talk with me. I was like, man, I don't care what you do out of here, but if you keep showing up hungover, like, you're not going to have a job anymore. And dude, that shook me to my core. Like, that was it, man. And it was because the night before, the reason why we had that talk in the first place, I messed up royally and then created a big fight with my partner at the time that took a long time to to be able to move past that, even after being sober, just really behave like a drunk idiot. And so I made a complete ass of myself the night before. My gal at the time was not speaking to me, and rightfully so. I made a complete ass of myself and called into work the next day and was staying in a hotel because we got in a fight. And so I was at the hotel. I called in like, yeah, dude, this ain't happening. And came to work the day after that, and then that's whenever they kind of talked to me. It's like, dude, you're running out of chances. So, okay. But that was the physical act of what did it. We can call it the spiritual act of it, I guess, or the emotional, or just the tie of all of them. The thing that makes us human beings unique. That part of it, I had finally like truly hated the guy in the mirror. Like, I just could not stand him. He was a piece of garbage. And I believe that with all of my core, with everything. Like, dude, you are just scum. And how I felt. And even though I might have been fortunate just because of life circumstances, work ethic, whatever, it did not change the fact that I treated people like crap because of my addiction. And it didn't change the fact that I let a lot of people down and made it to where they can't trust me, and made it to where they knew that it doesn't matter just because I'm an addict, So that's what I'm referring to, just that realization of like, this is really it. You're not, I'm not what I thought I was in my head. And it was a good moment. So I wrote down on a piece of paper that as of today, September whatever, 2nd or 3rd, I'm not going to consume a drop of alcohol for as long as I work for this company, basically. And I decided from that point that just no matter what, like, I think I'm just done indefinitely. There's no reason to go back at this point. A lot of the actual physical stuff that I went through was over pretty soon in the overall scheme of things. Like, the actual withdrawals of the addiction don't actually last that long, but they are tough. And I consumed a lot of sugar. I ate so many cookies and so many cakes and just so many sweets because my body was so used to getting that much sugar. And the other part of it is spending time with your true, honest self and being in your head and realizing a lot of the reasons why I drank in the first place, back to that. And even though it started off as just pure boredom, it created a lot more. And I turned into a different, unhealthy, frankly, just disgusting human being. And it wasn't until this mark now, 2 years later, that I believe that I'm not that person anymore. First, I had to believe that I can be not that person anymore. In fact, I had to be so freaking disgusted with myself that it's literally, if I don't stop doing this, I just need to give up in life. Like, just go ahead and throw it all away. But in all honesty, like, I just became disgusted with who I was and what I was doing to not only myself, but everybody around me. And once I hated that guy, once I hated the guy in the mirror, that's when the change itself was easy. Now that sounds like garbage advice. I realize that. Like, that is the worst thing anybody can say to anybody, I think. It's obviously not, but in this context of what we're talking about, like, yes, you have to get so bad that you literally hate yourself before things get better. No. I've seen people do it a lot better than that. But that's where I had to get to. And I don't know what it's like. Because if I'd have quit a year before, which is really whenever I should have stopped about a year before that. I don't know what that process would have been like compared to the process that I did go through, because I had tried over and over and over. Behavior modification does not work. It has to be a fundamental belief. Like, it has to be part of your core. It's like, no, it's not, I'm not going to drink today. It's, I don't drink. I'm not that type of person. And it's the truth. It really is. You are exactly whatever you want to be. Whatever you believe that you are is exactly what you are. Within reason. Like, I can't just believe I'm an astronaut and then become an astronaut. Like, that's not going to happen. But at least within the realm of my world that I can control, like, yes, I believe I'm not a drinker, period. If somebody offers me a drink, no thanks, I don't drink. End of story. And typically they don't ask again. And if they do, it's probably because they're intoxicated and now they're annoying. So I'm going to move on to something else anyway. And that's another thing too, is like a lot of the stuff, like, you got to figure out what to do with spare time. Because a lot of the things that were fun are just not fun anymore. A friend of mine told me one time, he's like, man, tell me your favorite restaurants. And this is whenever I was drinking a lot. And he was doing this. He was a non-drinker, and he was doing this to try to prove a point. It's like, oh man, I love this bar down the road. They got the best nachos. He's like, I doubt it. You need to go there sober sometime, not drink, and just eat the nachos, and I bet it's terrible. I was like, no, dude, they're the best nachos ever. But that's real life, man. I found myself only liking certain places and restaurants because I could drink there and the atmosphere was cool. So it's like, it didn't matter what the rest of it was. It was just a fun memory that made it so good in the first place. So things that you enjoyed doing before are just not fun anymore. Things that were funny are just not funny anymore. And the people that you surrounded yourself with aren't fun anymore. Like, at least in that context. There were some people that we just naturally drifted apart, but we weren't necessarily that close anyway. Like, you know, bar buddies are bar buddies. So, you know, and then plus I moved, so it was pretty easy to. And in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you don't usually run into the same person twice whenever you go to a bar. Well, depends on where you sit. Forget all that I said. I just sorted something out that I decided it wasn't even worth saying anything. So, anyway, yeah, things that were fun are no longer fun. And although I do still have a lot of relationships with people that knew me as a drinker, our relationship is different. And there is no pressure. There is no, you know, oh, I can't drink around him or anything like that, because I genuinely don't care. And I don't tell people usually. Like, a lot of times I'll run into somebody and I just don't even tell them, like, because there's no point. It's a topic of conversation that is not relevant at this time. And for me, the more I talk about it, the more I think about it. So, and if I'm going to hang out with somebody and they're drinking and they offer me a drink, just say no thanks, and I'm good. And, you know, if they ask again, then I might tell them, like, yeah, dude, you know, no worries. I quit a year and a half ago, and like, don't feel obligated to do anything. I'm still having plenty of fun. drinking unsweet tea. Like I'm having a good time. Don't worry, you know. And a lot of times they're cool, and it's fine. And then even in, you know, more intimate, and by intimate I don't mean like naughty. I just mean like, you know, close one-on-one encounters with people. You know, I've got a couple of friends that, you know, love to have a couple of beers, and I do not want them to feel obligated not to do what they like to do because they're adult enough to be able to shut it off and be done. I'm not. Well, I don't want to say adult enough, you know, disciplined enough. And for a lot of people, that's just natural. Like, they don't have the same problem. And that's cool. You know, I like that. The things that I struggle with are not the same things that other people struggle with, and then vice versa. That's how we all help each other out. You know, like, there's a lot of things that come naturally and easily to me that might not to you or to somebody else or whatever. So there's no pressure. Like, I don't want to talk about it. I just want to do it. And that's been the best thing. It's been the best thing ever. My life is tremendously better without it. And a lot of the problems that I created have, in fact, worked themselves out, so to speak. But really, my processing is different. Just, I'm going through the exact same life, doing basically the exact same thing. But I see it completely differently. So this is moving into almost 30 minutes already. I'm just gonna post this one up, and if people watch it, that's freaking awesome. If you've made it this far, by all means, subscribe to the channel. You deserve it. But anyway, man, I am so grateful. I just am. I'm so grateful. And life has not been easy ever since. In fact, I've had some of the worst. I can honestly say that I've experienced the worst things in my life thus far within the last 2 years. And it's from trauma to major decisions to just large things that really stretched me as a human being. And, you know, that alone is, I wouldn't have taken those risks, minus the things that I couldn't control. But, like, man, if I'd have gone through some of the crap I went through last year, or a year ago, having drank, like, that would have been the end of whatever I had going on. I don't know. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? Whatever. It's just good, man. It's just good. And there is a faith underlined behind all of this. And this camera is literally about to run out of time. So hang on a second. Yeah, I got like 10 seconds before this goes away. So anyway, let's do a little quick pause and re-go there. So I haven't figured out how to change the setting in that. Well, I haven't tried to figure it out either. So it just records for 30 minutes at a time. But anyway, there is a faith aspect to this, and my intentions are not to get preachy on really this channel, to be honest with you. But it is the truth of what it was, a supernatural occurrence. And I'll just, you know, I can't explain it. I literally cannot explain it. I know what I think, but that's irrelevant. That's just my opinion. But I do firmly believe that there was a supernatural, spiritual awakening that happened that sparked this whole thing. And it wasn't me, and it wasn't my decision. It just happened. So that's what I mean by I'm the luckiest guy in the world whenever it comes to quitting drinking, because the act of quitting was easy. It's all the other bull crap that led up to it, and then the really, really getting a good look in the mirror for the next, well, going on 2 years now. I still look in the mirror and see a lot of ugly stuff, but luckily it's far less, and I'm just thankful, man. So life is good, dude. Life is good. If this video has found one person, and if they find it helpful, thank you. Or I don't know. You know, it's just, anyway. If you've made it to the end of this video, by all means, subscribe to the channel. This is an open door and an open book into just me letting out there. The rest of the stuff is just kind of goofy. It's just me being me. I got a lot of projects, and since I stopped drinking, I have taken on a lot of extra projects, and those are some small, some large, some not doing anything except sitting in a pile of boxes in my bathroom right now. But there are some cool stuff. It's good stuff coming. I'm ready to get back on board with really taking this a little bit more seriously. It is a hobby, you know. The channel and the videos is a hobby in itself. But yeah. Thanks so much. If I don't stop this now, I'm going to keep talking until like 2 a.m. So just need to do ourselves a favor and go ahead and end it. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.